Welcome back to Hardball. After blocking several election security bills in the wake of Robert Mueller's testimony last week, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has come under increasing pressure to protect our elections against Russian interference. And last week, McConnell's stonewalling prompted Washington Post columnist Dana Milbank to call him a Russian asset for refusing to defend his country from Moscow's attacks. But it was MSNBC's Joe Scarborough who rolled out a new nickname for McConnell when she hammered him home on Friday.
I want to hear about Moscow Mitch. Moscow Mitch, that being Mitch McConnell of Moscow, Kentucky. Moscow Mitch blocks 2 bills. Moscow Mitch keeps killing any bill that would protect American democracy. But I want to talk about Moscow Mitch. Moscow Mitch. He is aiding and abetting Vladimir Putin's ongoing attempts to subvert American democracy. Moscow Mitch won't even let the Senate take a vote on it. Sure. That is un-American.
Well, the New York Times reported yesterday that McConnell is incensed by that nickname, which has spread to all across social media thanks to Joe. And now the Associated Press is reporting that the nickname is even catching on in his home state of Kentucky, where he faces re-election. You're seeing people, there's signs there. Even President Trump had to deny that McConnell was acting like a stooge from Moscow. Here's how Trump attempted to defend his buddy in Kentucky.
Mitch McConnell is a man that knows less about Russia and Russian influence than even Donald Trump, and I know nothing.
Well, the question now, will the pressure on Moscow Mitch, as he's come to be known, prompt him to do something about the Russians and what they're doing to us? We're joined next by the man who made up that nickname that seems to be sticking, Joe Scarborough. You're watching Hardball. Welcome back to Hardball. Criticism of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell continues to resonate after he blocked legislation intended to protect American elections from Russians. Anyway, sensing an opportunity, Democrats have kept the pressure on McConnell and his fellow Republicans. Here's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer today.
Using paper ballots, not partisan. Making sure that our machines are safe from hacking, our election machines are safe from hacking, that's not partisan. Giving the states resources to better manage their elections, that's not partisan. That's American. And I'd say to my Republican colleagues, where are you? Why aren't you telling the Republican leader that we ought to do something?
I'm joined now by Joe Scarborough, co-host of MSNBC's Morning Joe. Joe, a couple of things. When you watched the debate last night, were you kind of stunned by the unreality of a lot of the arguments about how they're going to do this big health care thing? They're going to tax all the rich. They're going to pay for health care. They're going to pay for everything, hearing aids, teeth, denture. I mean, everything they're paying for. And it's all going to come from this new program they're going to pass through the Senate. And I kept thinking it takes 60 senators to get any of that through if it's programmatic. And you got Mitch McConnell there with the majority control of 53 right now. How do you beat him? How do you get anywhere near 60 senators if you're a Democratic presidential candidate?
Well, it really is unbelievable that the Democrats kept going on and on about how they were going to provide universal health care to Americans instead of talking about how Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell have spent the last 3 years trying to strip health care coverage from millions of Americans.
Right.
Trying to strip pre-existing protections from millions of Americans. Trying to do all of these things while they give the biggest pharmaceutical companies on the planet and they give the biggest multinational corporations regarding health care massive tax cuts. So I sat there saying, wait, you're facing Mike Tyson next year, and this is like a Princeton Diners Club having intramural squabbles inside instead of taking the fight to Donald Trump. And they just didn't do it. And by the way, Chris, you're completely right. Union members in Youngstown, Ohio, as Tim Ryan was saying, are sitting there going, wait a second. You're going to give me health care for life. You're going to give me free dental. You're going to give me free everything. And wait, I'm supposed to give up my union contract for that? No, they're not going to do it. And it's every bit as unrealistic as Donald Trump promising in 2016 that he was going to provide universal health care, that everybody's deductible is going down and they're going to have better coverage. Democrats need to say, we're for universal health care, and the other side is against it. Let's work together to beat Mitch McConnell, to beat Donald Trump, and to assure that Obamacare, which is a big deal, Biden was right about that Obamacare is mended and not ended.
Well, let's talk about how you get after McConnell. You've got under his skin, obviously. Moscow, I mean, this reminds me of Tokyo Rose, and he didn't like it one bit. I think he heard Tokyo Rose. It's questioning if he really cares about our country or simply maintaining his majority more than this country. What do you think's going on in his quarter right now? What are you hearing about his burning from this thing?
Well, I hear they're upset, but I think Americans actually have every right to be upset because think about this, Chris. My dad's a Kentucky native. My mom and dad met at the University of Kentucky. My dad dragged the family around. We used to follow Adolph Rupp's Kentucky Wildcats throughout the late 60s and 70s. And my dad would have never understood any American doing what Mitch McConnell's doing right now. The CIA, the Republican-appointed director of the CIA, the Republican-appointed director of the FBI, the Republican-appointed director of national intelligence, the Republican-appointed Department of Homeland Security chief, the United States military have all said explicitly, here we go, are you ready for this? That Russia poses a grave threat to American democracy. They said that, not Democrats, not talk show hosts on MSNBC, the FBI, the CIA, the DNI, the United States military, all said that Russia was doing that and we needed to try to stop it. And Chris, he's not just killing Democratic bills to protect us from Putin's meddling. He's killing Marco Rubio's bill that simply says if we catch you meddling in our elections and undermining American democracy, we will sanction you. Can you believe Mitch McConnell even killed that bill? That's not just wrong. That's un-American.
I'm with you. Let's go to his Twitter coming out of Trump land today. Attacks Congressman Elijah Cummings again. It's elicited criticism that Trump is using a strategy of racial division coming into the 2020 campaign. However, according to the Wall Street Journal, the president's advisors concede the tweets aren't necessarily helpful to Mr. Trump's reelection efforts, but said they marked yet another case of the president prioritizing the personal over the political, whatever that is. What do you think? Do you think Trump is doing this like surgically saying, I'll get this little racial number in right now, and next year near the election, I'll cool it down, I'll cool my jets, I'll have gotten the people I want behind him, some of them rough people, I'll have them behind me, then I can become a regular president for a while the Democrats run a socialist against me or a very hard left candidate, and I'll be the middle of the road. Or do you think he's calculating like that, or he's just got bad instincts on race?
You know, we've seen it before. You've seen it. I've seen it. Presidents get elected a certain way. Everybody tells them they're never going to get elected. And whether it's Donald Trump or Barack Obama or George W. Bush or Jimmy Carter, whoever it is, they go into the White House thinking, wait a second, everybody was wrong about me. Even George H.W. Bush, one of the most humble men in the White House, once asked an advisor when he was losing in 1992, if you're so GD smart, why aren't you president? So Donald Trump, because of James Comey's letter, because of a lot of different things, got elected in a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. And he thinks that he can play that game again. But what he's doing is, by being racist, by attacking these individual members of Congress, he's chasing off the suburban voters. He's chasing off women. He's chasing off voters who remember, I think I saw it on your show last night. He was very proud that they stayed at home, that black voters stayed at home and didn't vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Well, guess what? Guess what? They're going to be mobilized. People of color are going to be mobilized, and Donald Trump's going to pay for it. So it's really short-sighted. I don't understand why he's doing it. And anybody that thinks that's going to help him win the Phillies of the suburbs of Philly have never been to the suburbs of Philly.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Joe, The way you described his lucky punch reminds me of Ingemar Johansson, the Swedish boxer who won the heavyweight championship of the world. Because he had one punch, his thunder and lightning punch, he never won again. Thank you, Joe Scarborough, for talking about the once-in-a-lifetime Trump victory in 16. Anyway, with 114 Democrats in the House now, 114 backing impeachment, are we approaching a tipping point? A few more, and Speaker Pelosi may be facing a pro-impeachment majority in her own caucus. Hardball, back into this. Don't go anywhere.